Hello folks, and welcome back to the workshop. If you're like me and you end up with a slightly older mobile phone and a tablet, you know that every time you go to sit down in the evening to look at Aero Workshop on YouTube, the battery life is getting low, and then you have to plug it in and you can't stand it up properly and things like that. So today I'm going to do a super quick video on making a phone holder or a charging station or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a very simple project. It's only going to have one joint, a bridle joint, and I'm going to do it all on the table saw. So let's get to it. Okay, now that we're at the saw, I have a few pieces already dimensioned up to size. The pieces for the phone stand are 75 millimeters wide. The upright is 165 millimeters long, and the part that will form the leg is 100 millimeters long. And the pieces that I'm using to make the tablet stands, the only difference is it's 105 millimeters wide. So it's 30 millimeters wider just purely because the tablet is a bit wider and just to have it a little bit more sturdier. I'm using the same method as I did in my last video for making half lap joints, which is the block with the magic screw. And to set this up, I've set the blade to 25 millimeters high, so that'll be a third of the way through the block, and it'll come back down a third when I flip it over. And to set it up, I'm coming up 30 millimeters, so I'm setting that to the kerf line in the bed there. I'm setting one stop block to hold that, to give me that reference on all the rest of them. And then I'm using an offcut of the same material to give me the thickness. Letting the other block in, tighten it up so that once that travels to hit the screw there, it'll give me the exact same thickness as the wood we're using. So I'm going to machine all these, and I'm just going to let the blade up by 10 millimeters when I'm doing the ones for the tablets, and I'll come back then and we'll do the mortise in these. Okay, as you can see, that forms a tenon in the middle here of the bridle joint. The next thing I need to do is we'll want to cut the mortise in the leg. And like I said, I'm going to be making that 35 millimeters deep, which is what the blade is already set for. The simplest way to do that, I find, is just use the piece we have already cut and another stop block and just line it up to the edge of the cut in the table sled to just keep it tight, so that when you cut it, it'll be a tight fit. You can always adjust it and take a little bit more out of it, but it's quite hard to put the bit back into it. So when I'm doing this, I'll be running that way. I'll flip the piece around, run a cut there, I'll nibble out the bit in the middle, and then we can check it. And if I need to move the fence out a little bit to take the last little bit, I will. Okay, as you can see, that's the tenon piece done, and now I have the mortise piece done. So they should slide together good and snug like that, so that they're a good fit. So the only other thing I want to do is I just need to knock the corners off all the exposed edges. I'm not going to round it over or anything like that. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. So I'll knock the corners off, give it a light sand, and then I'll be back and we'll stick it together. Okay guys, I have those pieces sanded up, and as you can see, I've taken the corners off the top and off all four corners of the leg. So now it's just a case of pushing them together. Now I'm not using glue because the joints are pretty tight, and it's only a phone holder. I don't believe that a phone holder needs to be glued. And if you have the joint tight, there's no need for glue anymore. Plus, if you wanted to take them apart, you can. So, there you go. That's what the stands is. And if, like I said, it's designed for the phone. You pop your phone in, and your wire will pass through the gap in the stand. So, that's how simple that bit is. And like all good cooking channels, I have two that I prepared earlier. The only reason I wanted to show these is to have a little bit of finish on them. I just applied a couple of coats of Danish oil to these, and I think that it really brings up the colour on the cherry. It's just nice to see something with a finish on it instead of just the bare wood. So there you go, 2 tablet stands, 2 phone stands. Okay folks, I hope you enjoyed this little video of making a phone holder or charging stand or whatever you want to call it. But I think they're a very little useful thing to have around the place. So, as usual, I'd like to say at this point in time that if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't already done so, maybe you consider subscribing to the channel. So, all I can say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Good luck.